Saturday, Brian. That was a home game against Cal and a loss, 65-62 for the Pack, which has lost 3 in a row. SMU in the black, NC State in the red, black, and white, and they own the opening tip with O'Connell. 9-9 on the season. That wing three bounces off. Good hustle inside. Styles to keep it alive. NC State went just 1 of 10 last Saturday on 3-pointers. They made their very first one and then did not make another 3 the entire game. Hill. SMU has the basketball. In fact, Jaden Taylor was the only Wolfpack player to make a 3 in that loss to Cal. SMU's pretty good, Brian. 14-5 on the season. They've won 10 of their last 13 games. They take the shot clock down to 7. Edwards. O'Connell defending. Edwards trying to get to the rim. Shot comes up short. Middlebrooks grabs it for the Pack.
Good defensive possession by NC State. You understand that SMU, they're going to run a lot of ball action where they've got to do a lot of showing. You're going to see a lot of switching by the guards on the perimeter.
Critical game this afternoon for both teams, especially NC State, which has lost 5 of its last 6 games. Their last win, January 8th at home against Notre Dame by a point as Middlebrooks' shot misses the intended target. It's going to stay at this end of the floor.
Keep your eye on that matchup between Middlebrooks and Yigitoglu. You got 2 bigs right there. Middlebrooks, they're going to give him a chance to establish himself early. Yigitoglu at 7'2", does a really good job of defending the post by himself.
O'Connell on the inbounds. Quick release. Marcus Hill Jr.
And for me, that's the guy that's got to get started, get him going. Hill is a 50% shooter. He's a guy that you can give the ball and he can go get you a bucket early and set the tone for this Wolfpack team.
That 50% shooting from Hill is 4th best in the ACC. Had 13 points in the loss to Cal last Saturday. Trying to work it inside on the block. A lot of physicality in there. Middlebrooks held his ground, diving to the court to try to save it. Fighting with 2 Mustangs. Held ball, and the arrow favors SMU. They're still fighting for that loose ball. Let's take a look back at that mark of a fighter moment brought to you by Modelo.
And Middlebrooks averages almost a block and a half a game. Stays solid, challenges him right there at the rim. That's one of the things. Ben Middlebrooks is going to establish that toughness. You, Kevin Keats, you just came off of a game against Cal that you should have won. You want to set the tone. One of the things you want is you're big on defense to be able to give it to you early.
NC State basketball with O'Connell against Boopy Miller. Matt Cross picked up the foul in the fray there, so it was not a held ball. And right now the arrow favors NC State. On the drive, in traffic. Styles right to Yigitoglu and going to the free throw line. Kevin Keats all the way to the Final Four last season, an ACC tournament championship in his 8th season. 148 wins. As the head coach of the Pack. He's 97-36 at home. Brian, he's also 85-33 in this building.
Well, and here's the thing, since he's been here, I mean, his calling card is having a team that plays relentless defense. They want to get out and try to run. And again, we talk about the fact that coming off of that run last year for the Final Four, a lot of expectations for this NC State team. You know, some have been a little worried, but I think that the way that they play, they still put themselves in the mix.
All the way to the national semifinals, a loss against Purdue in Glendale, Arizona, after beating Texas Tech, Oakland in overtime, Marquette, and Duke in the regional final, 76-64. That was in Dallas, Texas. SMU making the trip from Dallas, Texas.
I see what you're doing there.
Yeah, and there's Andy Enfield. We had a great conversation with Coach Enfield. Not really that thrilled with the effort against Louisville.
He wasn't. I mean, and they played against, you know, probably the surprise of the league in Louisville and what they've been able to do. They were down by 30 at one point, and this was one of those opportunities that they fell short, an opportunity for a quad 1 win, and they did not show up like he wanted.
Louisville made 19 threes against the Mustangs. Rain Smith had 10 by himself. Ripped out of there by James. Hesitation. Rolls in.
Good recognition by Hill. He realized that he had a bigger Yigitoglu on him, and anytime you've got a guard with a big out there, you go right at him. Get a little separation and got that jumper to go. Good start from Marcus Hill.
Active defense inside from Huntley Hatfield. Wears number 1 in white against Yigitoglu. On the inside. A lot of clutter in that painted area, and stolen. Taylor hopping to the rim, able to score it.
And this is the start for Kevin. If you're Kevin Keys, this is what you wanted. Out to an 8-0 run. They've been able to limit SMU. We talked about this as a team that wants to try to get downhill.
Miller finally gets the Mustangs on the board here in the first half.
And much needed shot by Miller to get him rolling.
Averages over 14 points per game. That is 19th in the conference. Best on the Mustangs roster. The junior from Chicago, Illinois, who played a season at Wake Forest as well. O'Connell, quick release. Flying in with Styles. He lost the handle underneath. Had it for a moment. Edwards comes away with it. Matt Cross. Cross has spent some time in the ACC, unable to catch that pass at Miami. And also at Louisville for Cross. That pass is too far for the Pack. And it's back to SMU down by 6.
And NC State coming out, turn it up with their defense. And you see what they're able to do. Get out in transition. Open it up early with an 8-2 run. And then you foul. And you end up losing on the free throws. And in the last game against Cal, they were up by 1 under 2 minutes to go. And it just didn't go. And they couldn't score at the very end.
In fact, 4 of their last 5 losses, all ACC games for the Pack, by 3 points or less. And the last 3 losses by a total of 8 points. Stolen to the rim, and the layup will fall. Hustling out ahead, Marcus Hill Jr.
And what you've seen from NC State is that they've come out and they've had a level of toughness and aggressiveness with their defense. Been able to turn over SMU, uncharacteristic because this SMU team normally does not have any problems getting into their offense. Right now, struggling a little bit to find their own.
SMU so far is 1 for 4 from the floor. They missed 13 of their first 15 shots on Tuesday against number 25 Louisville. The game was played in Dallas and a loss for SMU. Shot clock all the way down to 1. Cross beats it with a 3.
And nice jump shot by Cross. I thought that play was set up by Oquendo. Penetrate, forced to help. Matt Cross is one of those guys. Look for him today. He's a guy that can go inside out and exploit some mismatches.
He led the team with 18 points, also a game high 8 rebounds and 33 minutes of action in the loss to Louisville. Defensive help for the Mustangs. Traore trying to save it in front of that SMU bench. Foul was called in the process, it looks like. Roger Ayers, Gregory Nixon, Jeff Pond in charge of the action. Chuck Harris picks up the foul.
This NC State team, doing a better job of being able to attack the rim. For your SMU, you know that they do not shoot a lot of threes and make a lot of threes. Try to do a better job of locking down that lane. And NC State doing a good job of being able to attack the hoop.
NC State just under 6 made threes per game. That's last in the conference. Quick turnaround that bounces off for Hill. He does lead the way so far with his 6 points. Cross all by himself, passing tight quarters, bounces away. Hill shovels it into the corner. That's for 3. Dennis Parker couldn't find the mark, trying to get back defensively against Cross, who forces the issue. Second chance for Cross and a whistle. Contact underneath.
Hey, Matt Cross doing a good job of being able to get in transition, get downhill. Again, he's the guy we talked about again. He can shoot the 3, but watch him on the penetration. Realize that he can initiate the contact, comes back and gets that offensive rebound, powers it back up and draws that foul.
Cross, the transfer from UMass, where he played 2 seasons in Amherst, Massachusetts. for the Minutemen. Louisville and Miami prior to that. Here at SMU. Middlebrooks rejoining the lineup for NC State. 70% of the season from the stripe. Matt Cross out of Beverly, Massachusetts. So Cross now has 4 points. He'll get a breather. Keon Ambrose Hilton is into the lineup for SMU. Their first year in the ACC. NC State, a charter member of the ACC back in the early 1950s. It's a high arcing three and a miss from Parker. Oquendo also in there, number 8 in black. Three-pointer for the Mustang comes from Harris.
And great ball screen for Harris to get him freed up. Harris is one of those guys, makes about 2 threes a game. If you're in North Carolina State, you got to make sure that you find him and make him put the ball on the floor.
All of a sudden, SMU on a 7-0 run, and a traveling violation turns it over in this 1-point game. Chuck Harris, the senior from Ashburn, Virginia.
A little reverse ball action, and you see Harris get a chance to set his feet. A little misdirection with the pick and roll right there, but he's one of those guys, again, give him an opportunity to get started. He will throw up threes, and they're going to give him a chance to knock down plenty of them this afternoon.
Harris is a double-digit scorer, averages over 12 points per game. Struggled a little bit against Louisville. Brian was just 3 of 10 from the floor, 7 points, 4 boards for Chuck Harris, senior and a transfer from Butler, where he spent 3 years in that program. Powerful drive up the back. Yigitoglu trying to follow. Basket interference. And a follow by Yigitoglu.
Good clear out that last time, and watch Harris go there. And it looked like it was coming off. Yigitoglu goes above. Catches that ball while it's still in the cylinder.
So the junior from France, Johan Traor. And Yigitoglu from Istanbul, Turkey, 7'2" freshman. Middlebrooks, mid-range.
And nice shot, nice face up by Middlebrooks. He realized that Yigitoglu was off of him, gave him a little bit of a jab step to see if he's going to bite. Knocks down that shot.
49% from the floor this season for Ben Middlebrooks. Second year at NC State, spent 2 years at Clemson as well, where he played 60 games. Playing in his 119th game in college today. Yigitoglu, shifty little move, and a soft touch.
Yeah, nice rotating, a nice slip by Yigitoglu. Gathered himself, realized he had a smaller guard, let him get by. Soft touch around the bucket.
Dennis Parker Jr. got bumped. Paul McNeil also in there, number 2 in white. Hill sends it all the way across. McNeil. That was a 3. Weak side taken in by Oquendo. SMU had won 3 in a row before the loss to Louisville as Oquendo misfires. They keep it alive out to Miller. Good hustle inside from Ambrose Hilton. Harris fires away to match the jersey number, rocking the 3 ball. He's got 6.
SMU starting to find their offensive consistency, a little bit more rhythm that time. You see Harris, we talked about him. He's a guy, you allow him to get set up. Already 2 made threes.
And it results in the first lead of the afternoon for SMU, which trailed 8-0 early on in this first half to NC State. Try the corner again with McNeil. He'll rattle it home for a 3-ball corner pocket.
And great penetration by Hill, forcing the defense to help and gets the ball out. And again, for NC State, you continue to break that paint. It's going to give great opportunities for you.
Just the 3rd made 3 of the season for Paul McNeil. Harris, just a little bit of daylight. McNeil tries to run it down. O'Connell is also there for NC State. Michael O'Connell, over 900 career points as he flies to the rim and lays it in.
He caught Miller sleeping that time. Miller thought he was going to come off the pick and roll and was able to get downhill and get to the bucket.
Coach Enfield knows Michael O'Connell from his days at Stanford. Spent 3 years in that program. Coach Enfield was the coach at USC before coming to SMU. Yigitoglu couldn't handle it, fumbled it away to McNeil, who's provided a little spark here. It's 5 turnovers so far for SMU. It's batted away underneath the bucket. Here come the Mustangs on the stampede, and then Miller got trampled there by Marcus Hill, who couldn't put on the brakes, his first personal foul.
SMU struggled early to find their offense, but they bring in Chuck Harris, the sniper. Comes in, knocks down not only 1 3, knocks down 2. And then you see NC State comes back to answer. Parker says, I got it. NC State up by 3.
He's made 3 3-pointers. Chuck Harris has 2 of them. NC State 2 of 7 on threes. Traore, the turnaround, could not calculate the angle. Well defended by Middlebrooks.
It was, and I thought that for Middlebrooks, he does a good job of being able to challenge. And you see for NC State, I think that they've done a good job of being able to pressure and stifle SMU's first couple of options on offense.
Breon Pass has come into the game for NC State, number 4 in white. Middlebrooks looking for a safety valve. McNeil, who has not played a lot before today. He'd only played in 11 games and attempted 14 shots. Misfires on that one for number 2. Bouncing into the corner, Traore able to keep it alive over Middlebrooks. Once again, Middlebrooks straight up and defending effectively.
And good challenge by Middlebrooks, not allow Traore to get that extension that he wants. And for NC State, continue to put pressure on the bucket as you see the penetration, the finish by Styles.
Transfer from Georgetown, who played 2 years at North Carolina. Middlebrooks up to contest the shot from Oquendo. In midair, mind you, we've got contact.
And watch Styles on his last time get downhill, splits both the defenders, gets over and a little nifty shifted to the left hand as Traore come over for the block.
NC State with the lead. NC State, they opened with that 8-0 run, Brian.
They did, and I love the fact that this pace favors NC State because, again, we talked coming into this game. SMU leads the conference in points scored at 84 right now, only 14 points.
Looking for a cable news network which respects all Americans? Then you have a new home with News Nation. See why News Nation is America's most trusted cable news network. To find News Nation on your screen, go to newsnationnow.com.
See SMU extend their pressure. Again, they want to try to get this pace up a little bit. NC State's done a good job of attacking the rim.
Styles attacking aggressively.
But if you notice with Styles, he's a guy that does not mind mixing it up. He searches for contact. He goes in, and watch his last time. You know, they get the ball up to him, and he hits right to the basket, absorbs the contact, does a good job of being able to stay focused for the old-fashioned and one. Styles has come in this first half, been ultra physical for NC State Wolfpack.
Traore picked up the foul. Styles at the free throw line. The old school three-point play. 62% from the line for Styles this season, and he's got 7 of the 22 so far in the first half for NC State. Tom Wormy, Brian Oliver, the Georgia Tech legend, and the MVP of the ACC tournament back in the day. Rocking in the 90s with Brian Oliver. By the way, these two teams haven't met since the 80s, Brian, 1988.
I'm glad you got off the 90s. I thought you were going to say Brian Oliver, who used to rock the short shorts back in the day.
Well, you did, but Oquendo right to the rim. He had an open lane, and he knows his alleys.
Yeah. Great move by Oquendo. I love the fact that for SMU that last time you got to your second, third option, allowed him to be able to get downhill and part and get right down to score.
Pass. Came up short on the 3. Yigitoglu able to pull it in. Breon Pass, best three-point shooter by percentage for the Pack, 48%. Missed the last one. Yigitoglu trying to work the block. Again with a soft bounce.
And Tom, he's got a nice touchdown there. I love the fact that he was able to take his time. A little running sky hook by Yigitoglu.
Freshman from Istanbul, Turkey. Styles took it right to him off the back iron, which was unkind in that instance. Oquendo lining up the 3 and knocking it down.
And you know what set that play up was the roll by Yigitoglu. It forced the defender to have to come over. You swing the ball over to Oquendo, knocks that down, and SMU starting to find a little bit of rhythm on their offense.
7 points for Oquendo, his first 3 of the game. He now has 125 made threes in his career. Huntley Hatfield, a little too strong, crossed the clearance. Chucky Harris, who had started the last 4 games for SMU, not in the starting lineup today, as Oquendo got swallowed up by Styles on the baseline.
And good defense by Styles. Realize with a guy like Oquendo, you got to crowd him, force him to put the ball on the deck. That last time staying with him forces that turnover.
6th of the game so far in the first half for SMU.
You see SMU in what looks to be like a 1-3-1 zone. And for a team in NC State that doesn't shoot and make a lot of threes, you want to force them on the perimeter.
Deflected, taken back by pass. Feeds the corner at Styles, and that one also deflected out of bounds. Cross was closing fast. So SMU, Brian, is in the midst of a 7-0 run. It truly has been a game of runs here in this first half. A 1-point lead for the Mustangs.
And it has for NC State. You want to attack the gaps on this zone. You don't want to be limited to shooting threes. You see Styles come up short on that one.
Oquendo will run it up. He's got eyes for the rim. Gets by his defender. Not enough on it. Cross is there to clean up the mess.
And man, Cross is one of those guys. Again, we talk about him going in and out. Does the dirty work that last time, coming up and get that offensive glass. Extend this lead to 3 for them. And again, SMU doing a good job of crashing offensive glass.
6 points for the senior Matt Cross. And a 3-point advantage for SMU. It's a little too strong. Volleyballed around. Taken by Edwards. 9-0 run for the Mustangs. Lost to Louisville, snapped a 3-game winning streak up and under creatively from B.J. Edwards. That's an 11-0 run. SMU, and Kevin Keats wants to talk about it with his Wolfpack.
And I think one of the things that NC State has to do is find a way to limit those paint touches by SMU. You talk about that 11-0 run. Got to regather and regroup.
So this Tuesday on NXT, the women's tag team titles on the line as Bailey and Julia face off against Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade. You are not going to want to miss this. NXT is all new this Tuesday, 8/7 Central, right here on the CW. Got a heavyweight matchup right here between SMU and NC State. It will be their only meeting during the regular season. We told you that they played in the 1980s, Brian. 1985. SMU lost here in Raleigh, 78-82. They played in December of '88. That was a win for SMU against then number 16, NC State, by 2. So there's a little bit of history. Coach Andy Enfield was here with USC to play a couple of NCAA tournament games in this venue. And he's a longtime assistant of Leonard Hamilton at Florida State, so he was certainly here in that capacity as well.
1985, and I'm wondering, is that back in the Derek Wittenberg, Thurl Bailey, Sidney Lowe era?
We're all for it. 1983 national champs. Turnaround Styles. Wow, that was halfway down and curved out.
Better offensive look that time you got inside that zone, and so NC State's got to do a better job of finding. You see great recognition, and the pass over to Yigitoglu. Had a smaller guard. The guard couldn't really stop it from getting good pass over to get him the bucket down low.
SMU has made 6 of its last 7 field goal attempts. NC State has missed its last 7 tries from the floor. Huntley Hatfield able to maintain the pivot foot. Shot clock is inside of 10 for Styles. Had time to get a good look at it. It leads to a run out. Miller one-on-one against O'Connell. The help came from Styles, and it ends up with McNeil. 3-on-2. Tough dribble for McNeil. B.J. Edwards to the floor to save it for SMU. And that's just the 3rd turnover so far in the first half for NC State.
A great block on one end, but great hustle back in transition by SMU to not give NC State an opportunity for an easy one.
Cross. Huntley Hatfield.
NC State's found themselves down a little bit of a slump. They've got to find a better way to break the paint.
Haven't had a field goal since the 7:44 mark. We're inside of 3 minutes to go, and another miss from the corner from McNeil, who does have a three-pointer in the game.
And here's what you do not want to do if you're Kevin Keatts' team. You don't want to settle. Most times when teams go to a zone, they're trying to challenge you. And we talked about this is a team that only makes about 5 threes a game. You got to find a way to continue to get to the paint.
NC State just 30% shooting so far in the first half, 46% for SMU. Shot clock at 6. Yigitoglu, one dribble and over the front rim.
And again, Yigitoglu doing a good job of rolling. A lot of times the defense is shifting. At that time, Matt Cross saw him, a smaller defender. He keeps the ball up high. No challenge at the rim.
15-0 run. Yigitoglu has 8 points to lead the way for the Mustangs, and NC State has missed its last 9 shot attempts. Poked away from Styles by Edwards. Goes out of bounds off the Mustangs.
You've seen both teams go back, and SMU doing a good job getting it down to the big fella, catching himself and extending that lead up to 9, and SMU ahead. Tom, this has been a game of runs. First it was NC State being able to get that lead, but then as of late, you saw SMU get on their own run over the last 5 minutes and 9 seconds. 15-0 run, and they've been able to do a better job of being able to space out NC State, break the gaps, hit the roller, finish at the rim. They have found their offense, and then for NC State, you're 1 for 10 from behind the arc. You got to continue to find ways to break that paint and get those inside shots. You see block shot that could have been a foul by Colbert.
Kevin Keatts, I'm sure he took one look at that box score, Brian, and said, not again. 1 for 10, that's what they did against Cal at home a week ago.
But here's what happened is that SMU went to the zone, and they cut down the paint touches by NC State. NC State's got to find a way to continue to be aggressive.
We take a look at today's game stats, brought to you by Morgan Stanley, where old school hard work meets bold new thinking. 30% so far for the Pack. That is well below their season average, Brian, of 45%, which is 10th in the ACC. There was a skirmish after the miss.
Here's another thing. NC State started out with their aggressive defense. They were limiting SMU's ability to run their offense. Since then, SMU doing a better job of being able to handle that pressure, get to their second and third options. If you're State in this last sub 2 minute mark, you got to continue to get some turnovers.
Miller accelerating. I think he was trying to work around a Harris screen. Officials are looking at one another, and the foul's going against SMU.
Harris there with a legal block.
So that's the second foul on Harris. You know, Brian, if you're NC State, you're shooting 30% in the first half, well below your season average, and yet, look at the scoreboard, you're only down by 8.
And again, you get into those gaps. If you're going to shoot those threes, that's one thing, but you don't want to depend on it. Continue to move and try, instead of going east and west, get inside and break that zone.
Taylor, just 2 points so far for him. O'Connell with 2, trying to add to the total with the floater. It bounces out. And the rebound, Colbert. Edwards, the entry to Cross. Colbert puts it on the deck. Just trying to inch his way back towards the rim. Shot clock is at 4. Harris against 2 defenders. He's got nowhere to go. NC State on the run. They give it to the capable hands of O'Connell. Tough follow away. Miss from Taylor. Final 35 seconds, and SMU wants to slow it down with Miller.
Yeah, I love a pick and roll option with Miller and see if you can get a mismatch.
Looks like Coach Enfield from SMU has called a timeout. With his team up by 8. Stay tuned for today's halftime show presented by Subaru. Love, it's what makes Subaru Subaru. We'll go around the ACC. We'll also have the first half analysis and stats from the first 20 minutes of just the third all-time meeting between these two programs, with SMU in its first season in the ACC along with Cal and Stanford. SMU 3-2 away from Dallas, 3-1 in conference play for the Mustangs, who won 10 of their last 13 games. Don't forget, coming up, Boston College, North Carolina, which has lost its last 2 games by a point each time, and they'll host BC. Critical juncture in the schedule for a lot of teams.
And North Carolina is one of those teams, and they started out the non-conference, took some L's early, but they've got to get their rhythm together because they're going to find themselves in a position where they can be outside the bubble.
Last season was the complete opposite for them, Brian. They won 5 of their first 6 ACC games. Their best start since the late 1980s. The script has been flipped this time around, and that's a 3. B.J. Edwards.
And good ball screen. Forced a little bit of a help with Miller, and if you're NC State, you got to pick it up right here. Try to get a bucket going into the half.
Final 6 seconds. Taylor let the defender fly on by, and he's got a 3, and boy, they were desperate for that. Jaden. We crank up the second 20 minutes. The destination this season is Charlotte, North Carolina, for the 14th time and 3rd time at Spectrum Center, the ACC tournament. Brian, the MVP of the ACC tournament in Charlotte back in 1990, and all the way to the Final Four with our good friend Bobby Cremins and Georgia Tech. Yigitoglu travel back to NC State.
Yeah, and good defense by Middlebrooks, and I thought that he was able to hold his ground. Yigitoglu, I thought that when he got to the middle, he could have basically taken that jump hook over his left shoulder. Let's see how NC State is able to go at. Right now you see SMU back into a man.
Just 30% shooting as a team in the first half for NC State. O'Connell. Styles trying to work on cross. Shot clock is down to 6 for Taylor. Hit that big 3 at the end of the first half clock. Needs to shoot just one from the baseline. Middlebrooks on the weak side, preserving the possession. Hill against 2 defenders. Middlebrooks off the 3-point line with the drive. Big collision underneath.
See Edwards on, absorbing that contact, drawing the charge. Watch this last play, and you see penetration by Middlebrooks. What looks to be his 3rd foul. A lot of times you don't want your big guys having to try to get downhill from the 3-point line. A little stagnant offense by the Wolfpack.
2 points and 2 rebounds in the first half for Ben Middlebrooks, the senior from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. SMU coming off the loss this week against Louisville. NC State lost here on this floor against Cal last Saturday. Yigitoglu off the mark, got it back for the easy 2-fisted jam.
We've seen SMU is trying to understand that Middlebrooks has got 3 fouls. They're giving Yigitoglu an opportunity to go one-on-one. That last time he was able to finish at the rim, put back on the dunk.
That's 4 games in a row now for Yigitoglu, with double figures, and the 12th time this season for Samet Yigitoglu. Hill, Middlebrooks had it knocked away by Miller in the quick hands.
Oh, nice dime by Miller. Yigitoglu running the break. SMU doing a good job of turning that defense, and this is what they want. They want to get turns and get an early offense. Kevin Keats calls a timeout, trying to rally his troops.
Considering that NC State has not scored yet, Brian, in the second half, and Yigitoglu's up to 12 points last Sunday and then lost to Georgia Tech this week. The Louisville Cardinals lost at Virginia Tech last Saturday. They retired Elizabeth Kitley's number 33 at Castle Coliseum. That'll be coming up tomorrow. Hill into the lane. Misses the shot. Just 6 points for Hill. And they came very early in the first half. Their leading scorer trying to get on track for NC State as Cross misses. Follows his miss. Old school. You never see that anymore, Brian. O'Connell at the other end. That's a three, and it looked good as soon as it left his hand.
And O'Connell was able to walk right into that. SMU got back, but then no one picked up O'Connell. NC State needs to find some way to generate some offense and get going. But Keith's talked about the fact of finding a consistent score. Get the ball to go to. You see Yigitoglu trying to go for what was a two-pointer. Worst shot in basketball is right there on the foot. But I'm going to give the big fella a dime the fact that he can stretch out and shoot that one.
He had only attempted 1 3 all season and missed it. He was about a half-inch away from attempting his second 3 and making it right on the line. It's a 2, Yigitoglu. O'Connell for back-to-back buckets. He made the third three-pointer of the game for NC State. Couldn't connect on that jumper, and Cross saves it as he's fallen out of bounds. So Booper Miller, Brian, has just 2 points so far in the game, doing other things, though, for Coach Enfield.
Well, but here's the thing, as you see him shoot that 3, I thought you were calling it up. Finding other ways to impact the game. And again, for NC State, they've got to find somebody to get rolling.
Taylor. Strong on the 3. O'Connell comes flying in, gives it to Hill. Has some room. It bounces out. Unlucky on the bounce. On the drive by Marcus Hill. Cross. Yigitoglu against Styles, who's digging in defensively, and it does not stop Yigitoglu.
And I think that for NC State, you got to send somebody. You can't allow Yigitoglu to go ahead and put the ball on the floor 4 times against a smaller Styles. But I love the fact that for SMU, they realize they got a mismatch and they keep feeding the big guy.
Yigitoglu now has 16 points. That ties his season high. He is our leading scorer today. Middlebrook sizes up a 3. Hill inside. Couldn't get it up on the square. Bounces around right to O'Connell. He got it back for the 3. It was online. Miller. Feeding the post. Yigitoglu against Middlebrooks. Trying to stop him, and he does.
Good block by Middlebrooks. Opportunity in transition for NC State to get an easy one.
Jaden Taylor. Styles tries another 3, and he connects.
And good penetration by Taylor. And again, NC State still finding a way to claw back in, using their defense to give them some opportunities. Good knockdown by Styles.
Styles, the first Wolfpack player to get to double digits. He's got 10, his first 3 of the game. 4 of 17 on 3-point tries for NC State. Middlebrooks trying to save it right to Yigitoglu, who traveled prior to the lay-in.
And that play started by Middlebrooks with his hustle, trying to give him an opportunity to climb back in this. NC State trying to find some way to get into it. Best way to do is to get a little penetration, knock down 3 to be able to get you back into it.
For Samet Yigitoglu, who's getting a breather for SMU. Has all 8 points so far for the Mustangs in the second half. Middlebrooks, all kinds of room. Tries to get it to pass. They cannot collaborate, out of bounds and back to SMU.
Yeah, with Middlebrooks that last time, I would have loved to see him be able to go in and try to get to the basket. NC State has not had many opportunities. Treyarch basically sat under the basket and led to another turnover.
Still just the 5th turnover of the game for NC State. They only turn it over 9.5 times on average this season per game, and that's the fewest in the ACC.
Question now with Yigitoglu on the bench. Where does SMU go to generate this offense?
16 points for Yigitoglu. Shot clock is down to 5 for Miller. Miller about 5 feet behind the line. Pass comes up with the rebound.
Good defensive stop right there by NC State.
Missed shot from Taylor into the corner. It's going to stay with NC State. The reset, 20 on the shot clock. Halftime lead for SMU was 8, 34-26. First year for Andy Enfield. Kevin Keats is in his 8th year at NC State. They went 26-15 last year, 9-11 in conference play, all the way to the ACC Tournament Championship and the Final Four. Pass, catch and release, bounces out. Miller downshifting, pass got back in the play to take it away.
And great hustle by Pass. Again, a lot of opportunities, especially in the break for NC State. They just got to finish and get a couple to go.
Taylor trying to turn it into points. He'll turn it into free throw attempts. Third foul on Harris on the move by Taylor on the inside. So Jaden Taylor, the senior from Indianapolis, Indiana. Second year at NC State, 2 years at Butler, playing in his 125th career college game. 18 points, a game high in the loss to Cal a week ago on this floor. Tell you what, he doesn't miss free throws, Brian. 76% on the season. 50 of 66 coming into the game. And the leading scorer for NC State this year.
And NC State has been able to get back in this game because of their defense. You see them extend their pressure a little bit. They just got to be able to get a couple of buckets to go. Right now, cutting this lead under 10. Need a solid defensive possession right now.
He's the guy who gets to the line, and he's got 7 for Taylor at NC State. Cross, pivots, and hits.
And Cross did a good job of realizing he had a smaller pass on him. Just took his time, gathered, and literally shot over him like he was a chair.
8 for Cross now. Senior from Beverly, Massachusetts. Pass got past the first defender and then missed the jumper inside the arc. 10-point game. 12.5 minutes to go in our second half on CW Courtside Saturday. So glad that you're with us. SMU in the black. This is Cross in position. Basket and foul, and he's into double digits with 10 and a free throw upcoming. We take a look back at the mark of a fighter moment, brought to you by Modelo.
And Trejo did a good job in seeing Cross on the penetration. Cuts down there, finds Huntley Hatfield late. Again, we talk about Matt Cross and the fact that he does such a good job of being able to mix it up inside, outside, takes advantage of the opportunities. Had a big and just dove, was able to finish at the rim.
So Pass and Taylor come out of the lineup for NC State. Cross completes the three-point play.
This is a time where NC State needs Marcus Hill to step up for him. I thought he started out the game really aggressive, hunting his offense, and then went quiet towards the end of the half.
NC State just 14% as a team in the first 8 minutes of the second half. And the ball's going back to SMU, trying to work out of that corner and turning it over for the 6th time.
Huntley Hatfield found himself right there in the middle. Would have liked to see him turn and look at the rim first. Obviously, you kick the ball out, but you're not getting a lot of opportunities to go right at the rim.
B.J. Edwards on the handle for SMU. Cross drew a double. Gorner. Flying in. Oh, Oquendo.
Oquendo cornered hard at the rack.
9 points for Kario Oquendo, the senior from Titusville, Florida. 2 of the thunderous variety. Huntley Hatfield turns at the free throw line and knocks it down for NC State. They needed that one.
And I think that's one of the ways that you can get back into this game. If SMU is going to stay in that zone, you want to try to get right there in the middle, because again, that last time Huntley Hatfield found himself wide open.
First 2 points of the game for Huntley Hatfield, the leading rebounder this season for NC State. Trying to defend at the other end against Cross. They tie him up. And the arrow favors the pack. How about number 8 in black? Clear for takeoff.
They say Oquendo goes to the rim.
So honored to be alongside Brian Oliver and our outstanding production crew for CW Courtside Saturday here in Raleigh, North Carolina.
You see SMU back in that zone. Again, O'Connell with opportunity to set his feet.
O'Connell, who has made a 3 in this half for NC State, unsuccessful on that attempt. That is now 4 of 18 long distance dialing for NC State.
And NC State's got to find a way to capitalize. Down by 13. They forced 11 turnovers, only 6 points off of that. You see Matt Cross come up with an Oquendo with an opportunity to go back at the rim again.
There he goes again, attacking the rim. Just a moment ago, he was flying in from the right wing for a jam for number 8.
I think Huntley Hatfield said that, we're not going to have that again. If you're going to earn it at the free throw line, no more Kodak moments.
Not in our house. The Lenovo Center opened up back in 1999 as home of NC State basketball. A lot of physical play underneath. Oh, and a big collision. McNeil and Oquendo. McNeil going for the basketball.
You watch this Lex play on the pass. See McNeil going for the steal. He and Oquendo collide.
Paul McNeil seeing significant action today for NC State. Does have 3 points, 1 of 4 from the floor. Edwards. Huntley Hatfield, one-arm rebound, boxing out with the other.
And again, NC State's getting opportunities because they're getting stops. They just got to come in. You see the foul. Last thing you want to, Robert fouls McNeil on a 3. Ill-advised contest there.
So Gorner picks up the foul. McNeil for the 3.
And you see right there on the closeout, the last thing you want to do is foul a shooter, especially for a team like NC State, who's not had any success shooting the 3-ball today.
They haven't had success from the free throw line this season either, Brian. 70% as a team is 16th in the now 18-team ACC, which, by the way, when we go to Charlotte, 3 teams will miss out. So 15 teams to the tournament in Charlotte, which will also be the site next year.
If you're NC State, you do not want to continue to get stops and leave crumbs on the table. As you see Miller, Ambrose Hilton, and also Yigitoglu come back into the game. It's a team that's had 10 offensive rebounds and only capitalizing with 2 points off of it.
Trying to fight for the miss off the McNeil free throw. Foul is against SMU. Ambrose Hilton picks up his first. So NC State will keep the basketball.
You see off the free throw, you see the fight there. Ambrose Hilton and Yigitoglu called on that foul.
McNeil, tough shot. He got fouled again.
And McNeil did a good job of realizing he had Oquendo on his side. Leaned into that contact. Opportunity at last time, only coming up 1 of 3. Need to knock these 2 down, cut this lead down.
McNeil had only attempted 4 free throws all season before today. He was 3 of 4. And now he's back at the line. 1 more to come for McNeil, his 5th free throw of the game. Freshman from Rockingham, North Carolina. 6 points for McNeil. Went to dry off the hands and got right back in the play. And the double, deep, taken away. NC State trying to get it back. McNeil again to the free throw line.
And how about McNeil with the shot of arm, with the energy? You hear the Wolfpack Nation letting them hear it, showing their appreciation. NC State with an opportunity to get back in this game, have turned up their defense. Watch here. Good trap right here.
It's Parker with the steal right here.
Parker comes up, couldn't get the first one in. How about watching McNeil comes in there fighting for the effort.
NC State playing some inspired ball over the last few minutes.
And it's been their defense. This is a team that prides itself on the defense, and right now extending that pressure. Your SMU need to get the ball in the hand of Boopy Miller.
Now that's a 7-0 run by NC State. The clock hasn't been moving all that much either. More full court pressure. Edwards and Miller trying to break it. O'Connell overzealous defending against Miller, trying to keep up with Boopy. That could be a show, keeping up with Boopy. You like that? That's like what they do in Dallas now, watching number 2 run the show. O'Connell picking up his first personal foul.
You talked about the NC State run, a little shift in momentum. If you're NC State, you push up, continue to try to deny, and you force them to be able to move that ball. Hopefully you get active hands, get a turnover, and get into some transition.
So the lead is down to 8, which is exactly what it was at halftime. Edwards thought about 3, close out McNeil. Miller. Twisting shot. Poopy Miller. Count it. And to the line.
Poopy Miller flexes on him a little bit. Didn't settle for the 3. Watch the replay again. State comes out, chases him off of that. Comes in, leans in that contact, finishes off with the offhand, and then flexes and said, yeah, I'm strong like that.
6 feet, 175, and a junior from Chicago, Illinois. Transferred from Wake Forest, started his career at Central Michigan. 82% free throw shooter. He's up to 4 points now in the game. Remember, he's their leading scorer, over 14 per game.
Well, I like the fact that even though he has not been able to score with his normal numbers, watch this right there. Absorbs that contact, has presence of mind to be able to finish up. I think they're trying to figure out who the foul was on that last play.
They're going to give it to Parker and be his second. So Miller to the line to complete the 3-point play. If it comes down to the final seconds of this game, SMU will look at Poopy Miller. He has 2 buzzer-beating, game-winning shots this season. 1 against Cal Baptist and a 3-pointer against Virginia to beat the Horns this year for SMU. Taylor, Hill. McNeil has 8 points, a season high. Back to Taylor, a couple of feet behind the line, side rim. Edwards. Oquendo knocked away as Taylor got back. Huntley Hatfield, baseball pass up ahead, and the lay-in drops. Marcus Hill Jr. beat everyone down the court.
Great pass by Huntley Hatfield, was able to get Hill behind the defense. And again, North Carolina State using defensive stops to get into transition. Got to be able to string together a couple of consecutive stops.
Hill is up to 8 points for the senior from Rockford, Illinois, and the leading scorer this year for NC State. Monstrous block. Parker coming out of nowhere to reject it. Hill trying to chisel his way into that SMU D. And a kick on the Mustangs. Ambrose Hilton was defending. Shot clock back to 20.
And watch the hustle back. And then the steal by Taylor, and Huntley Hatfield gets it, and does his best quarterback impersonation, gets to Hill to finish. And again, we've seen this is how NC State's going to get back into this game. And Tom, another thing is that as SMU sits back in that zone, if I'm NC State, I try to get the ball inside the middle, right there around the free throw line.
Hill. Hill got it.
Good shot by Hill, but again, you get the ball into Huntley Hatfield, and it looks like there was yet another turnover by SMU. NC State doing a good job of finding some offense and turning around, forcing Andy Hatfield to call a timeout.
Marcus Hill is into double digits in scoring.
He's done a better job of being able to use that defense to turn over SMU and then capitalize on the other end. That last play, you're able to get behind the defense of your Marcus Hill to ignite this little run. Right now, 14 turnovers that have turned into 10 NC State points.
An 11-3 run for NC State, which trailed by as many as 15 just a few minutes ago.
And I think that you continue to ride that intensity, get some turnovers, and you got to be able to capitalize on these opportunities.
2 players into double digits, Styles and Hill. Taylor couldn't get to it. Ball fumbled into the corner. Cross tries to take a swipe at it. Ends up in the NC State bench.
And this SMU is basically, they've kind of fallen off a little bit. They got to get their rhythm back. I thought that earlier on they had huge command of this game. Seemed like they've gotten a little flustered by the pressure for NC State.
7-point game for NC State, Brian. shooting 23% in the second half. Now they've scored some points at the free throw line.
And they've got to get something to go. They're getting better looks now. I thought the quality looks at the end of the first half were a little rough, but right now, doing a better job of getting these quality looks. Just got to get some shots to go.
7 of 9 from the free throw line in the second half for NC State. Hill able to keep it alive. Shot clock winding down. They get the jumper from Taylor to beat the clock.
Nice penetration by Taylor to get right there in the paint. Right now, I've gotten this lead down to 5. Huge momentum shift. If I'm SMU, I try to get the ball down to Yigitoglu and let him go to work. 13-3 run by the Wolfpack.
Yigitoglu is the leading scorer with 16. Cross has 11. He's got the basketball. Carving his way inside. Yigitoglu got the offensive board. He missed it, and Huntley Hatfield knocked it out of bounds with 7:10 on the game clock.
I thought Yigitoglu got away with a little bit of a push there on Huntley Hatfield. Huntley Hatfield doing a good job. And again, if you're NC State, continue to stay physical.
SMU, the highest scoring team in the league, Bryant. Over 84 points per game. They're at 52 right now with 7 minutes to go. Oquendo, cross, catch and release. Bounces out, tapped around to the pack. McNeil still in there with his season high 8 points. Shot clock is at 8 for McNeil. 2 defenders on him. Hill rises up and hits it.
Big bucket by Hill. That last time didn't seem like the NC State had anything, and Hill came over, talking about a guy hunting his offense, ran to the ball. Wolfpack on a nice run here. You see, cut it down to 3.
Harris. Huntley, Hatfield, and Taylor converge on Harris. Oquendo cutting and scoring.
And nice cut by Oquendo to silence the crowd. I thought that Harris did a good job of gathering himself. Good back cut by Oquendo.
Kario Oquendo for SMU now with 11 points. He's the 3rd player to get to double digits for the Mustangs. Hill takes it. Pounds it into the floor and hits the jumper.
And you can tell Marcus Hill is finishing right now. No hesitation right now. And again, you can tell he's got that dog in him. He and Harrison are having words. Level of physicality is amped up.
14 points in the game from Marcus Hill Jr. It is a 3-point game. One of the best shooters in all of the ACC coming to play in the second half of the pack of the comeback. Shot clock inside of 10. Harris, nifty spin, can't finish it off. Huntley Hatfield rises for the rebound. Chance to tie with a 3 for NC State.
Source of our offense has been Marcus Hill. Again, Hill has been that guy in a little bit of a clear out action. Get him on a backside screen.
4 of 20 on 3-point tries for NC State today. Shot clock to 5. Hill dancing and dribbling, takes the shot. Wide of the mark. 4.5 minutes to go in regulation. Oquendo driving to earn free throws. Parker was in the vicinity. They'll give the foul to Taylor. So free throws coming up for Oquendo. The 3-point shot for SMU, Brian, is dried up in the second half. 5 of 9 in the first half. They are 0 of 6 from long distance in the second half.
And a lot of that time is because NC State has done a better job of being able to get out and chase them. High hands, active, make sure that they're challenging those shots. And you see reserves coming in for NC State. But how about the play of McNeil, Huntley Hatfield, allowing NC State to get back into this game?
Season high 8 points for McNeil. Huntley Hatfield has 5 rebounds to lead the way for NC State. So Oquendo trots to the bench with 13 points in the game. 5-point game, 4:28 to go in regulation. Teams haven't met since the late 1980s. They played twice in that decade. Each team won once. NC State will have to travel to Duke on Monday for its next game. Business to take care of here. Middlebrooks gives it up. Taylor trying to create some space. Got it back. Shot clock is winding down. A lot of dribbling from Taylor, and then the foul from Harris. That's his fourth. He was defending Taylor.
I think it's a great opportunity to try to give a touch to Middlebrooks down low. You need your big guy to be able to get a couple of touches, try to get something around the rim.
Both teams will be in the bonus with the next foul. We're about to cross the 4-minute threshold. NC State and SMU, BC and North Carolina to follow us on CW Courtside Saturday. Bryce Hurd is into the game as well. Deep in the shot clock. Taylor got the defender in the air, and he will stride to the free throw line. So free throws upcoming for NC State when we come back with 3:47 to go in regulation.
And he has allowed them to be able to get back into it, a little bit of a momentum shift. We talked earlier about it being a game of runs. You see right now, NC State on a little bit of a run for themselves.
Creating point production from the free throw line as well. They are now 8 of 10 in the second half from the line. And 2 for Taylor.
You and I talked earlier about NC State and not knocking down the threes, but I think in the second half they made a more concerted effort to put the ball on the floor, and then they've extended their pressure. Seem like they're a little bit more aggressive, especially with the guards on the perimeter.
13 of 16 in the game from the line for NC State. SMU has made just 2 field goals in the last 8 minutes and change, and they've got the ball. Yigitoglu backing on down against Middlebrooks. Middlebrooks smothers him. And then a foul committed in the backcourt. Cross and Yigitoglu trying to take it back from Middlebrooks, committed the foul.
And great defensive play by Middlebrooks. You see it a lot of times earlier. Yigitoglu was able to take his time and get there. Middlebrooks did a good job of being able to lock it up. You see Cross come up with the swipe, gives Middlebrooks an opportunity to go for a 1-and-1.
Hasn't been to the line today. Ben Middlebrooks, the senior, 71% of the season.
Big fella with the friendly roll there.
How about that? Clockwise to the bottom of the net. Tantalizingly, slowly on that rim. He's got them both.
NC State has been able to grind it out. You see right now they've got this crowd behind them. Turn their amp up a little bit on defense.
1-point lead for SMU after the free throws from Ben Middlebrooks. Cross. Oquendo nowhere to go against O'Connell. Miller baseline. Into the corner, Edwards, that's a 3. Ripping the ropes for the Mustangs.
And great read by Miller, able to get down that baseline, forced to help. Was able to find Edwards wide open. That 3 was able to quiet this run that NC State has been on.
6 of 16 as a team for SMU on 3-pointers. Edwards out of the corner in front of his own bench. The lead is 4. Taylor creating space. Just a moment ago, NC State had the lead down to 1. Haven't led since they led 22-20 with 6:45 left in the first half. Shot clock at 5. Oquendo shovels to Yigitoglu. Still hanging on that rim. Fouled on the way up. Bryce Hurd in the neighborhood. They're going to assess it to Middlebrooks. That's his 4th, Brian.
Yeah, good penetration by Oquendo and forced Middlebrooks to come over. And crowd upset because Yigitoglu was hanging on the rim. But it's been the points in the paint, I think, that really has been the consistent for SMU all afternoon.
First time to the line this afternoon. 60% free throw shooter, Samet Yigitoglu, freshman from Turkey. Coming up next, Boston College heads to Chapel Hill to face R.J. Davis in North Carolina. CW courtside Saturday. BC, North Carolina coming up next, only on the CW. Brenneman and Jaminski, the All-Americans, standing by in Chapel Hill. CW courtside Saturday. We're just inside of 2 minutes to go in regulation. Yigitoglu with 2 free throws and now a season high of 18 points. Had a season high 16 in that last second win at home against Virginia. Styles rises up and hits.
And nice shot by Styles, being able to get to that mid-range jumper.
12 points now for Styles. A timeout taken by NC State. Let's take a look at today's game stats. They're brought to you by Morgan Stanley, where old school hard work meets bold new thinking.
Stands out obviously for SMU is the 32 points in the paint. And then for North Carolina State, only shooting 31%. Still finds yourself only down by 4. In spite of being 4 for 20. Opportunity here to be able to get back in this game with your defense. They need a stop here. Understanding that SMU has the ball with just a little under 2 minutes.
Yigitoglu is the leading scorer in the game with 18. Oquendo has 13. Cross has 11. Cross has a double-double. 5th of the season, 15th of his career. As he plays this afternoon inside Lenovo Center. NC State 9-3 on its home floor, 2-2 in conference play, including a win against Notre Dame in early January by a point, 66-65. We could be in for a fantastic finish once again in the ACC with 1:43 to go.
That 2-possession game. If you're NC State, SMU's had some problems. You're extending your pressure, and then once you get the ball across half court, get into your point guard's hand. The clock is your friend. Use a lot of this clock. Try to get some type of penetration. Maybe give Yigitoglu another touch.
5 assists in the game for Boopy Miller. Closing in on 400 career assists, trying to score this time. Coming up short, Taylor pulls in the rebound.
If you're NC State, you stay within your game. Don't necessarily need a 3. You want to penetrate that ball and try to get the ball inside.
Hill could be the man to do it. Gives it to Taylor. He's got a 3. On line, short. Styles coming over the top. And then Edwards came out of the fray with it for SMU.
Styles went above the rim. Barely get his hand, and you see right now less than a minute.
The lead is 4. Miller on the handle. Middlebrooks way out to contest. Oquendo slams on the brakes, and the shot clock's at 5. Now tries to make his move, but he lost it out of bounds. 15th turnover of the game, SMU.
That last possession there, if you're Andy Edfield, you have to be upset. Unforced turnover. You see 37 seconds left to go. The NC State, you need to go quick.
Best 3-point shooter this season, Jaden Taylor. Taylor has 1 made 3 in the game. He's got 29 on the season to lead the team. O'Connell, he has a 3 in the second half. Styles, kick into the corner. Back to Styles for 3. Yigitoglu up top with a rebound. And then he was swarmed by NC State.
Good rebound by Yigitoglu going up. Styles would come up short with that 3. That would have been a big bucket for NC State. Right now you look at 18 18 seconds left to go.
NC State is on a 3-game losing streak and trying to avoid that fate again with 18.4 to go. SMU looking for its 11th win in its last 14 games, including a 7-game winning streak late November to late December. Yigitoglu on the free throw line. 2 for 2 in the game from the strike. Clutch free throw. 19 points, season high for the freshman.
Nice soft touch by Yigitoglu at the free throw line. He's had a big afternoon. I think that he's played solid throughout the entire, in both halves, and SMU needed a bucket.
Had the first 8 points of the second half for SMU right out of the locker room. And now a second free throw. 4 for 4 from the line. Yigitoglu, 20 points in the game, season high. Connell has to rush it up and calls an immediate timeout because now it's a 2-possession game. So let's take a look at today's player of the game. It is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, and motorcycle insurance. Visit progressive.com. And the guy in the middle of your screen, Samet Yigitoglu, is going to be our Progressive Insurance player of the game. Brian in the game just made a couple of clutch free throws, 20 points, 7 rebounds, 8 of 13 from the floor.
Well, I thought that for SMU, they established themselves early when they were able to give the big man a touch. And we talked about his skill set. Somebody you can throw the ball down to, finishes around the rim with that height, does a good job of keeping the ball up high. And then the second half came out in the second half, had 8 quick points. Does a good job of being able to run the rim, run towards the rim and finish. And all afternoon, been efficient. Love the game that he has had. And NBA scouts have to love his upside and his potential.
Freshman in that SMU lineup. No doubt that Coach Enfield directing his team to guard the 3 with a 6-point difference here for NC State and Kevin Keats. They are 4 of 22 today on 3-pointers. Just 5 of 32 for NC State in their last 2 games on 3s. Yigitoglu leading the way with 20 points. He leads all scorers.
I think in the situation now where you need a 3, I mean, who am I looking for? I'm looking for McNeil, who shot the ball well, maybe Jaden Taylor, and maybe a little misdirection. Sometimes, you know, you got Taylor taking the ball out, maybe get the ball right back to him, but you got to go quick.
4 different players have made 1 3 in the game. Hill's got it. 10 seconds. Taylor needs to shoot it. He will from 3. Graze the rim, out of bounds. It's Mustangs basketball. There's only 4.5 seconds left. And it's a 6-point lead. NC State had closed it to 1, 56-55, after trailing by 15 earlier in this half.
What you want to do is obviously at 4 seconds you want to try to go for a steal as Andy Enfield calls for a timeout.
So we've got 4.5 seconds to go here. Coming up next, Boston College heading to Chapel Hill to face R.J. Davis in North Carolina. CW courtside Saturday. Boston College against North Carolina. It's coming up next only on the CW. CW courtside Saturday. Women's action tomorrow with Louisville at Virginia. Just a few seconds for the folks that made the trip from Dallas and all other points in the country here to support the Mustangs. They may come away with this road victory, Brian. It's looking quite likely with 4.5 seconds to go. And they survived the surge by NC State in the second half.
And if they pulled this out, that puts the SMU up to 6-3. There's a log jam there. You talk about a lot of teams trying to scratch. Outside of Duke, Clemson, Louisville, and Wake Forest. Log jam there between Stanford, North Carolina. Big game for North Carolina today.
Wins at Miami and at Virginia in ACC play for SMU. And NC State is going to put up the white flag, and time runs out. That's it. 63-57. SMU gets the win. They improved to 15-5, 6-3 in the